Welcome back. Another edition of Explore Grant County, and we're going to talk a little bit more about business again.
We're wearing the same shirts we did on the last one.
I know we're banging out 3 podcasts all in a row.
Should I take my shirt off for the next one so I don't have the same one on?
Change? No, that's all right.
Yeah, that's what my wife says.
But we're going to be talking about business today a little bit more.
No. We're talking about economics.
Oh, economics.
We're not talking about business.
The business side of economics.
Yeah. This will be more general.
Yeah, because you're the head business guy.
We're in trouble.
If
I'm the head guy.
I mean, you're.
Well, no, this information that is research is easy to find. So it's not like it takes someone special. But the question was taxes, because the levy is a tax, and can the citizens afford the tax? And so we dug in to see, okay, when the last levy was voted on, we were making the assumption it was voted on in May of 2020, correct? That's the last election cycle.
That. Yeah, that was the last election cycle.
And so we said, okay, citizens, I think only 150 voted for the yay instead of the nay. And so we said, okay, was that different in the economy at that time than it is now? We had a different president. Mm-hmm. We're in the midst of COVID then.
Just the very beginnings when we were because remember, May, it happened in March.
Yeah.
They were like 2-week lock, well, maybe a month and a half, something like. I mean, so we were at the very beginning.
We're trying to figure out what to do
of it. Yeah.
And we didn't figure out very well.
No.
As you know.
No.
Some people did better than others, such as Florida. But moving this up. Yeah, so we just did some research on this is an economics conversation about taxes. What does extra taxes do? So if the levy is voted for, it's $10 million in taxes that come out of taxpayer, whether it's a business or a person or whatnot.
Which we do have some to talk about what businesses affect that and what actually happens.
A big business in Grant County went out of business just recently. And then if the levy's voted down, that means taxpayers save $10 million, whether it's a business who doesn't have to raise their prices because they were taxed, or an individual doesn't have to pay more on property tax or farms or whatnot. So that's what my research was around.
Okay, so hit us with one of the shocking things.
One of the shocking things is, and this just happened this Friday. On Google, I have certain words that send me updates. Like, hey, an article came out about this, right? So the cost of stamps was announced. It's going to jump again in July of this year.
Now, it just jumped in January.
68 cents is what we pay now for a stamp.
Okay.
First class stamp.
So I will tell you something about this. A business just posted on Facebook they will no longer be mailing out checks because of the stamp prices. So it does affect people.
Well,
I think everyone thinks that Mount Storm is everyone's business here in Petersburg. That size, that much money, that's what you make.
Oh, you mean the power plant?
The power plant. You got the power plant that goes all the way down to your tiny little mom and pop business or run out of the home business or whatever.
Most business in America is small business.
Yes.
I think it's like 60% of businesses are small business.
Small businesses actually employ more people than your big businesses.
Correct. So, it's funny because you see companies saying, go paperless because we care about the environment. Between you and me, they don't want to pay a stamp.
Yeah.
Just between us.
Yeah. Oh, that's the truth.
On the backside of corporate meetings, they're like, how do we save money mailing these out? So let's tell the people we're saving the environment.
68 cents a stamp. Mm-hmm. Say that you just have 100,000 people that opt into the paperless.
And just so you know, that 68, I understand your point.
The money they save.
Listen,
just on that.
Hotels, because I stay at lots of Marriotts, big Marriott guy. Hotels came out like 10 years ago with, don't use the towels. We're going to save the environment. You know how much it costs them to clean towels? I know. We clean so many towels at the campground. So instead of us saying, don't use your towel and being disingenuous, we're just like, yes, you need more? We'll wash them. So
that's a big one. So
okay, so just
what
recently.
Was it, though?
May of 2020, the cost of a stamp was 55 cents.
So 13 cents.
The last 4 years is the biggest, according to the article that was printed on the increase. The last 5 years or last 4 years was the biggest increase in stamps ever in American history.
Wow.
55 to 73 cents. That's a big
Wow.
jump. So number one.
Okay.
So that just
I was going off the 68 cents. I forgot we're going up to
50,
73.
55.
Yeah.
That 4 years ago.
Yeah.
55 to 73
To 73,
cents.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a massive jump.
That's massive.
So that's the first thing. So taxpayers now, and I had breakfast with a gentleman from Union on Saturday. His comment was grand families are struggling with keeping up with schooling children, helping their grandkids in schooling, and how it's just been a mess with technology at the schools. And he also said just the cost for grand families now having to do more taxes is a massive jump. So grand families who are on a fixed income, they don't make $100,000. They're, making pension or Social Security. I mean, our father who passed away, or I guess our mother now, she gets Social Security, which isn't a lot.
No.
Which isn't a lot. And she gets money when she subs at the school. I don't know. I think it's around $100 a day. I could be wrong, up, down or up a little bit, but she's on a fixed income. And so we help her and we do what we can. So this tax, even though it wouldn't affect her because of how her living situation is, she rents, this tax actually, will affect people that are just like her, that are on a fixed income, in addition to the cost of stamps. Then you ready for the big one? This is a big one because I did finances for the first quarter on fuel expenses.
Oh yes, for the church.
Massive.
Yeah.
We have a bus. Everyone saw that at Shop and Save on a Saturday. We have a van. We help with transportation to and from. So the cost of gas, and this is a national average. The national average in May of 2020 for a gallon of gas under President Trump was $1.96.
Man, I miss those days.
Now this week,
But I'm so glad that we don't have any more mean tweets.
well, those mean tweets cost us all billions of dollars because now we're paying for it.
Yeah.
Now, this week I was talking to one of our trustees at the church. I said, man, just did the finances for gas. And I said, it's ridiculous. He said, Jay, he said, gas jumped this week, or last week, it's Sunday, 20 cents.
20 cents. Overnight.
And so guess what now this is nationwide today. The average cost of gas a gallon is $3.63. So we went from $1.96 to $3.63. So talking about economically why taxes, that levy or any other tax that gets added on to our already millions and millions of taxes.
So I like keeping it simple for people.
Okay.
So if you spent $196 a month on gas, you're now spending $363
Correct.
a month
Correct.
on gas.
An extra $150.
Yes. Plus extra on stamps.
Yep. But
Plus,
wait, there's more.
There's more.
There's more. A pound of bread. Now, that's how, when you look at, what's the average cost of a loaf of bread? I don't know if a loaf of bread's a pound.
I don't know if it is either.
I doubt it is.
To me, it seems like it might be. I don't know.
I think it may be less. I don't know, because when you go to the grocery store now, there's like,
some are bigger, some are smaller.
there's Pepperidge Farm that have the raisins that feels like 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And then you get a whole big loaf. You're like, this doesn't,
Yeah.
So the way they do it is they do it by a pound of bread. So in 2020, when the last levy was voted in, people were paying $1.45 for a pound of bread. Right now, it is $2.03 for a pound of bread. So that is from $1.45 to $2.03 jump for just bread, which traditionally, when you go shopping, what do they say? Bread, eggs, milk.
Now we went through the great egg crisis.
I was paying $7 for a dozen eggs at one time.
Yeah.
A dozen.
Yes.
I went to Costco and they had a sale on brown organic eggs. Normally organic and brown eggs are, 3 or 4 times the price of white eggs. And they had like 100 brown eggs and it came out to like $4 a dozen. I bought loads of them because I'm like, that's still $3 less a dozen I'm paying out.
You need to turn your automatic screen darkener off because we have to keep hitting it. So while you're looking for that, I'll tell you something that's someone just posted on Facebook.
How do I do that, what you're saying?
It's in your settings somewhere.
Okay, keep talking. I'm
sorry. Walmart just announced that their Great Value brand, they're raising, or they did raise 40%.
Ouch.
Yes, 40%. I think it was last year.
That's massive.
And they upped their profits.
Of course.
And so that's what I'm trying to say is most people, it's like, okay, So the levy is
It's
0.01% or something. And they're like, well, I can't up it 0.01%. So let's just up it 0.05%. Or that's actually smaller.
It's a good opportunity.
My mathing there didn't math out.
It's a good opportunity for businesses to increase their profitability.
Yes.
And I know everyone's like, no, they're business. That's the number one goal of a business is to be profitable.
That's why you always yell at me, because I haven't mathed my business correctly.
Listen, you're paying your bills. Your wife works full time because but you pay your bills. You're happy.
Yeah.
I work in a different world, which is different, obviously. But so that's the other thing. Now this was the number, inflation. So because we've been talking about what is it, the vote in May of 2024, what was different in May of 2020? First off, you had a different president.
Everyone had money in their pocket.
Taxes were less. Bing, bing, bing. Inflation, annual inflation from 2020 to 2024 was a 20.4 increase in annual inflation. That's a national combined score.
Yeah.
So they're saying if you spend $100 on something, now you're going to spend $120.4 on it. And so that's a major increase. So talking about grand families, fixed budgets, because
which we have to say, it's not like their Social Security
went up 20.4%.
Yeah.
And I didn't make 20.4%. They didn't give me a cost of living adjustment on my pay because of that. So.
Yeah, and I think it might be a little different for everyone, but I think the national average was you paid $12,000 more now than you did a couple years ago.
Thing,
yeah.
Which is a big number. That's a big number.
Huge number. Because let's say, what is our average? I know our median household income is 50 something. It's 50 something.
In West Virginia?
West Virginia. In the state of West Virginia. I believe that's what it was. Now, that's household. That's not an individual. So that's the median household.
Keep talking.
See if I'm correct on that. So if you take automatically $12,000 off of that because of inflation, automatically
55,000.
Okay,
in West Virginia.
So that's automatically, now you're only dealing with $33,000 because there's an extra 12,000. Boom,
33,000. You didn't take taxes.
Yes,
taxes
but I'm just saying. Yeah. Just think of that. It went from 55 to 33,
and that's
no, 43.
12, yeah. 43. Yeah. So, I mean, the whole conversation's around economics and outside of the business expense, all that. What do taxes do to us? Because they're touting it as it's not an extra tax. You're already paying it now, right?
Yeah.
I thought, well, that was clever.
Yeah. That's not extra. Matter of fact, you're paying less in taxes. No, 4 years ago, I didn't have a levy.
Yeah. And you already pay property taxes for the county.
Yes. And what did we say? It was like $20 million, around that number, that already comes in tax dollars to the school.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of money. So it really comes down to can the people afford it? And I don't know who was on the steering committee for this, but these have been questions I would have asked.
And I did want to say, I was trying to think if I was asked. I was never asked to be on the steering committee. I was asked one time to come to a meeting only. But I know why they wouldn't want me on the steering committee.
Well, having people ask these tough questions that disagree with the narrative that's trying to be preached, that's always frustrating because they want to pick people who will agree, who they can either manipulate to agreeing or, sell them on this. So anyway, but the cost of life is much different now than it was. Gallon of milk, 2000, year 2000. This is an average cost of a gallon of milk. This is nationwide. It was $3.32 in 2020.
Okay.
2023, because they haven't had released the 2024 numbers, it was $4.03. So it was a 71-cent jump, which is about a 20% jump, which is where inflation's at.
Yeah.
In the cost of a gallon.
What is it now? Because I think it tends. I seem
milk
like it's not
locally.
Yeah. I think it's only like $3.50 or something like that.
My wife buys it for the house. So I have no clue.
Yeah, I buy it. But I know I have to have it, so I never really look at the price, which is one of those things. It's like,
well, that's normally
gotta have milk.
When it comes to bread, milk, and eggs. Normally, you don't look at the price. Well, no, I shouldn't say it. That's not true.
Yeah, I stopped buying eggs when they were $7.
Normally, because in the world of business, they say, listen, do you want to price yours out like peanut butter or price it out like eggs? And what that means is, if you're in a market where most everyone knows the price of eggs, you have to be really cost conscious. Cost conscious.
Yeah,
if you want to be like peanut butter, I bet you out of 10 people, maybe no one knows what you pay for peanut butter.
Which shocked us both when we bought mayonnaise a little while ago.
It was like $8 for a thing of mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I said, condiments are $8.
That was crazy.
So now I go to Costco, and I talked about it on the last podcast. I try to buy what I can locally.
You get the 30-gallon tub of mayonnaise.
I get enough I can bath in it. But you get a big tub, and I'm at home scooping it into the thing. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, filling up the mayonnaise container. Do the same thing with ketchup. Really, I make good money. I do that with ketchup. I do that with mayonnaise. I mean, the cost of stuff is ridiculous. So, FYI. Now, this is the last thing I pull. I mean, you can do this stuff you can do these searches for most everything. I remember when Thanksgiving was here, I think it was not last year, but the year before, Biden said, did he say the cost of hot dogs are down? It was like this funny thing everyone's making fun of. He's like, the cost of hot dogs are down this year. I'm like, who's eating hot dogs? And then I think he said last year the cost of turkey was down. So I'm going from memory, but you can search this stuff.
But that's what you do when your inflation's so bad. You just pick one thing and try to tout it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You can't afford mashed potatoes. And then this is mortgage rates. And mortgage rates are set by the Federal Reserve. And in May of 2020, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 3.15%, which is almost free money.
Yeah.
It's like we call that, we're like, oh my God, that's free money, right?
Yeah.
April of 2024, that's where we are today. 30-year fixed rates are 7.01%. And so this isn't a reflection on the banks. The banks set their rates based on the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
So it went from 3.1
Janet Yellen, right? Isn't that her name?
Is that her?
I think that's who is on the Fed. I believe so.
I don't know who's the is that called a Fed, like a chairman or president or something like that? So for a business, I was talking with a business owner yesterday, Friday, and he was talking about
We've been talking to a lot of business owners here lately.
Yeah. And it's not like we're going out searching for them. They've been, hey, we heard your podcast. Can we talk to,
Yeah.
Getting loans, the interest rates are a big difference. And so I work in construction. And so when you're talking about building a $450 million building, and you're talking about rates, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, a percentage rate is millions of dollars of interest. So that's just to show you how things have changed between 4 years ago and today economically. And I'm whether this has changed or not. I mean, you'll never get me to like taxes.
Yeah,
never. And someone said, "Why do you hate taxes?" I'm like, I not only do I not like someone taking money I've earned, I don't like someone who takes money I earn and that does such a poor job of actually executing on that. And my wife, when she first moved here from overseas, I was talking about this stuff, and she's Scottish, and she's like, "What?" But every time we went to the post office on Saturday, this is in Chicago, every time, because she sent stuff overseas to her family and stuff, we just say, "Hey, what do we need to do today?" She's like, "We got to go to the post office." I'm like, "Is it that bad?" She's like, "It's horrible." Yeah.
Now you just don't get your mail.
Well,
it's bad.
I got told that by a bank. I said, "Listen, I sent this out April 1st. It's April 8th. For now, for the mail, we wait 2 weeks." I'm like, "I'm sending it like 3 streets apart."
I know.
She's like, "We're sorry."
You know how many times I have to go in to pay my water bill and my trash bill? They come like just about right at the same time.
Okay.
So I know like if I get one and not the other, I'm like, oh crap, it's lost in the mail. And they're getting sent back saying wrong address. I've lived here now for 11 years. It's nuts.
Well,
that's your tax dollars.
Yeah, and it's just to say, listen, this is why I don't like taxes. What has the government ever done that you're like, that may be the best I've ever seen?
Obamacare.
Well, he got sued.
You get to keep your plan, and your prices will lower.
Wow. I see where anyway, I won't comment on that, which didn't happen. But the reason why I'm against taxes is because government is not an institution that knows how to effectively and honestly implement the usage of taxes.
Because there's always, it's not my money.
Well, of course it's not, and it's easy for them to understand that. I'll tell you one story real quick. I was doing a flooring job in downtown Baltimore. Wasn't a massive job, maybe about $150,000 job, and they laid out. And it was a government job. They laid out the flooring, put it down, self-leveled, did the adhesive, done. The lady who did the walkthrough worked for the government. Did the walkthrough of the place, said, I hate the flooring. I want it ripped up. I want to pick something else. I want a different color. Now, my customer, who is a conservative and doesn't like waste, said, Justin, you won't believe what the government just told me. The lady who should have approved it properly and should be held accountable just said, rip it up. I want a new flooring put down. What a waste. And that's one small simple story about this is why tax dollars are just traditionally there's not value in them. You know, if I want to ship something, I go to UPS. Why?
Because it's business. They got to make
It's
it.
a
They got to
business.
do it right, or they lose.
They got to make
customers.
money, or their shareholders will be up in arms, and their stock prices will drop. But so why do I go to UPS to mail important documents instead of the post office?